The morning show. You know, in this world, we are obsessed with celebrity and culture, and we love to put actors high on a pedestal, and they're paid big bucks, of course, for the work that they do, especially on the big screen. And there are some actors who give back in a big, big way. One man who is not only a great actor, but also a great man is Morgan Freeman. And he was in town recently, here in Toronto, accepting an award, and I got to sit down with him.
Have you found joy in your life?
Morgan Freeman is one of our generation's greatest actors and has appeared in some pretty great films. We all have a favorite role of his. From the powerful portrayal of a prisoner in Shawshank Redemption.
I look back on the way I was then. A young, stupid kid who committed that terrible crime.
To Driving Miss Daisy, co-starring Jessica Tandy.
Now, Miss Daisy, you needs a chauffeur. Lord knows I needs a job.
He won an Academy Award for his role in $1 Million Baby.
Good job, Dunk.
Despite taking home the Oscar, this was not his favorite role. This was.
In order to build our nation, we must all exceed our own expectations.
In Invictus, Mr. Freeman finally got to play the role he always wanted to.
Nelson Mandela.
Madiba.
What was that first meeting like?
I try and imagine what you would say to God if you happened to be in the same room that he walked into.
And what did you say to him?
I'm very pleased to meet you, sir. And shut up.
And just listened after that.
And listened after that.
Morgan Freeman was in Toronto to receive the Key of Knowledge Award from the Hebrew University of Jerusalem, the honor bestowed for his promotion of education and fight for civil rights.
When did you know that you were put on this earth to do more than acting? At what point did you say, I've got to give back?
I think when I made my first $5 million movie. I grew up in a place that, though segregated, blacks and whites, I got a very good education. I had excellent teachers, and if you've got that, so because now I think that a lot of teachers understand that they don't have a profession anymore, they have a job, and that's a downer.
Yeah.
It's a real letdown for people who dedicate themselves to such an important task.
In terms of how the world has changed, you mentioned you grew up in a segregated world. We've made big changes since then. Is the fight where you'd like it?
No.
How much further do we have to go?
We've got miles to go. You win one skirmish and you just move on to the next. In the States now, what we're trying to do is get at least some civil rights for gays. If you think about it, it's criminal. I mean, all this kind of suppression of people's rights in this day and age, it's criminal.
Are you optimistic?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. We will prevail. I think the human condition is predicated primarily on good.
Wow. Pretty powerful and optimistic. I mean, here's a man who's not only talented. I mean, I could listen to him read the phone book.
Right.
You know, he's got an incredible voice. I got to tell you, so he still lives in Mississippi, where he grew up. He gives back to the local high school. It's obviously integrated now, different time, but they still, believe it or not, have every year 2 proms. There's the mixed prom that the high school has, but there's still some whites out there who want a separate prom.
They have a white-only prom?
Can you believe it?
In this day
He says
and
it's not as fun. It's a lot smaller, and every year it gets smaller and smaller.
Right.
But
The
he
fact
says
that
that's
it
why the fight.
exists.
Exactly.
Right.
And that's why he says the fight has to continue.
And I believe, because we had the director of the documentary
Yes.
about that topic, is that he pays for the mixed prom, or he has paid for it.
And the first time he offered it was back in 1997, and they turned him down. He went back in 2008, and they finally said, yes, absolutely, pay for it. But to this day, in 2013, it's still not, it's still not too
They
separate.
still have to fight over the flag. Some places,
The
you know,
Confederate
insist
flag.
on flying the Confederate flag. It's not dead, you know.
What do you think is it would be his favorite role of everything he's played in terms of movies? Not the role was obviously Nelson Mandela, but which movie would you say would be his favorite to have played?
Shawshank Redemption.
Redemption,
That's what I
yeah.
thought.
Yeah.
No, he said Glory.
Oh,
Do
Glory,
you remember
yeah,
that?
yeah,
You know
yeah,
why?
yeah.
With Denzel Washington. Because he said it was about a black regiment in the United
Right.
States Army that Americans didn't know about. He says a
Right.
lot of people get their history from the movies.
Right.
And the movies don't always accurately portray what has gone on. And that's what he did this. You know, he talked about being well educated as a kid. You know, he was reading Chaucer and Shakespeare in grade 8. And it was because his mom was a teacher. And then he went off and fought in the Army, and he said other people from other places with a lot more money didn't have the depth of education that he had. And that's when he knew that it doesn't matter how much money you have, you can all get educated and get better for it. And he says that isn't happening as much as he'd like.
And he's absolutely right. It's the teachers, and when now it's becoming a job, they're taking the passion away from the teachers. It's really hard. My daughters were very lucky. Went to a public school in Santa Monica. Fantastic teachers. There's a teacher, English teacher, who's a very wealthy man. He's comes from a very wealthy family. He's taught all his life and loves it, passionate about it.
Those are the teachers that you want to be hooked up with as a kid.
They're the
because
ones
they
who
make
remember.
we all remember that one that made a difference. One last thing I asked him, of course, he was in the bucket list, so I had to say, what would be on your bucket list? He said, to produce a movie. After all you've accomplished, you want to produce, I want to have a say in the story, on who stars in it, and I want to go from beginning to end and win the Oscar for Best Picture. Yeah, so I'm sure he will, knowing him.
He should talk to Ben Affleck.
He should talk to Ben Affleck, or maybe Ben Affleck should ask him, can I be in your movie?
Exactly.